This is interesting, Johnny. We have Slave of Christ calling in. So had to give that one to you because
Yeah.
I know you love Slave of Christ. Slave of Christ is calling in, saying that atheists are inherently immoral. So that's interesting. Slave of Christ, you're live on Truth Wanted.
Yeah.
How are you guys?
Inherently immoral.
Inherently immoral, also a free citizen, a freeman of the land.
Yeah, we're traveling. We're
traveling right now. Absolutely.
Not driving. Mm-hmm. It's my vessel.
Last time I called in Objectively Dan told me that he fall into more of the category of agnosticism. He said that he's not sure that there is no deity, but he's not convinced that there is no deity. So I think Objectively Dan falls more into the category of agnosticism. I don't see you as atheist, actually.
Well, the term I prefer,
but the way. I'm sorry.
That's interesting you say that. The term I prefer is igtheist, and the reason why I prefer the term igtheist is because I don't actually make any particular claims as to whether particular gods are real to not with the term igtheist, because there's many different conceptions of God. So if I say God's not real, but somebody says, "Oh, well, God is nature," that means I say nature isn't real. But I think nature is real, so I use igtheist to undermine like what the God definition is, right? Like I want to know what it is first before I can respond to it. If we're talking about the Christian God, if we're talking about Yahweh, I'm pretty confident that's not real. Like that classic Judeo-Christian concept of God, pretty confident that's not real. But like any other like, panpsychic concepts of God or whatever, like that's kind of like more of a gray area. So yeah, it just has to be, you have to be specific with these things.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'll just get to my talking. I've already told, like last time, me and Johnny P, Angel, we were talking, and I'm not from here. I'm from Ethiopia, and in Ethiopia there was a prime minister. He did not believe in God. He used to say that there is no God. So he used to, all over the country, killing lots and lots of people, burning down churches. He killed 1.4 million people during the communist era of Ethiopia. So
you're talking about President Nagaso Gidada?
No.
There's no way you knew that.
Who are we talking about? What's the name of this person?
Wait. It doesn't even matter. Wait, what are you saying, Slave of Christ? Are you saying so there was one dude that was an atheist and he did some bad stuff, therefore all atheists are immoral? Like, what's the argument here?
No, he's not. No. He's not just atheist. He was killing people because they have
Hold on. Slave of Christ, if you're moving around right now or if you're on speakerphone, we need you to be in one location and also not on speakerphone because your audio is all over the place.
Yep.
Okay, I think it's better now, right?
Yes, it is. Thank you. Please continue.
Okay. So, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so this guy, I kind of like laugh when American atheists say that Christians have killed this and done this, but they don't understand what atheist leaders have done in history, and when they have power, how much evil they could be, because and I think deep in the heart of atheism, there is no sin. Because you could do, there is no supernatural force that is dictating and prescribing any kind of what do you say? There's no right or wrong objectively. So it's just like I think when you say that you don't believe there is no deity, I immediately assume that you don't have moral values.
Why?
Because there's no right or wrong in your worldview.
Why?
Because you said there's no deity.
Okay, but what does it have to do with moral values?
What's the connection?
Because moral inherently in the idea of empathy, in the idea of compassion, it's a religious idea. It's a
Really?
spiritual
So
idea,
empathy,
not a
you
secular
can't,
idea.
in other words, you can't have empathy unless you believe in God.
No, there are a lot of people who have empathy who are
Okay.
atheists and secular
Oh,
people.
Oh,
I
okay.
know them
All right. All right.
so
Very
it
good.
sounds like
Yeah.
it has
But-
nothing to do with God.
There's a but in there.
still,
There's always a but.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Go ahead.
not like B-U-T, double T. It's more of B-U-T. So they are stealing this. Atheists, they use this trick where, they're probably not convinced that there is no deity. And when it comes to, quick questions that they have to answer, whether I think is morally correct or wrong, they steal the idea from religion. They pretend that it's a secular idea, but it's not a secular idea. It is stolen from somewhere else.
Interesting. That's a very interesting observation. I completely
Claim.
disagree
Yeah.
with everything you've just said.
Every single thing
so
you just said was wrong.
yeah, let's break this down. So atheists stole the idea of being compassionate to people from religious people.
Yeah.
And you know this because why?
Okay, so how I know this is if me and Dan, we were walking down the street and we saw someone who is in calamity or someone who is oppressed, I will say that since they are created in the image of God, I have a justification to feel sad about that person. Where Dan will just say, I just feel empathy because I feel empathy. It's more of like a circular reasoning that I see.
Okay. It's interesting because this is the second time you've spoken for me tonight, and you've been both wrong in both instances. I think if I saw somebody struggling in need, I'm going to say, hey, that's a person who needs help, and I'm going to help them because I'm also a person and I know what it's like to struggle. So I think that that's a good enough reason. Yeah. Is it an objective reason? Maybe not. Why do I need objective morality?
I'm not saying that morality is objective. Because
Okay.
that's not my belief, right? So, by the way, atheism is also very dogmatic when it comes to, let's say,
Well, let's stick it. Let's go one thing at a time. One thing at a time. Why can I not?
Okay.
Why is empathy exclusive to you and not me? Why do I not have access to it without being considered stealing?
Because empathy and compassion is we share empathy and compassion from a divine source. So when God created us, He breathed into us His nature, which is love and compassion.
Let's say that's true. Let's say that's true. We get our empathy from a divine.
You agree?
You agree that I don't agree. But let's say it's true. Let's say it's true.
You said it's true.
I'm going to mute you because I gotta make my point here. Let's say it's true. Let's say we get our source from a divine entity. We get our empathy and our compassion from a divine entity, and I just deny the source. Does that mean I'm stealing? What do you mean? Does that mean I'm still not capable? I don't understand what the argument is. It seems like even if I denied the source of it, I still have access to empathy and compassion. I think that's obviously evident. I think it's also evident that people with various belief systems do cruel and unjust things. Okay, sure, people are selfish. I don't care. So what? What does that have to do with me or you? Why am I suddenly compared to the guy that killed 1.4 million people because he also doesn't believe in the Christian God? There's a lot of people that don't believe in the Christian God. Like, I don't know why that means I have to be, compared to someone who's committed genocide.
So even though they don't believe in Christian God, they believe in different gods, right? So they're still theists in that category.
No, I mean, right? No. If you're an atheist, you don't believe in any gods. That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is there are religious people and these people who don't believe in the Christian God.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So, all over the place. And they kill millions of people in history.
But they're also capable of empathy and compassion.
Yeah.
And they don't believe in the Christian God.
They have a shared
So,
humanity.
yeah.
They overcome their indoctrination, the rules that their religion tells them to crush their opponents. They overcome it. And they say, I'm not going to kill today because that seems wrong.
Yeah.
But the reason we think that killing is bad is because of what? Because there is a law and commandment that is deep in our hearts.
I think that's the
God
reason
has
why
written.
you think it's wrong. I don't think that's the reason why I think it's wrong.
Yeah. It's not the reason I think it's wrong.
Yeah.
On some level, I don't kill because I don't want to go to prison. I don't think I'd get away with it.
That's one
And
thing.
on the other one is that I don't want to have the guilt of having taken away the one life that a person had.
Yeah.
Also, I don't have any reason to kill anybody. Like, there's some people I really, really don't like, don't like, and I don't want to kill them. In fact, if I killed them, that would put them out of their misery of being alive every day. And also, I don't want others to kill me. And by killing one person, I would contribute to a society in some way where killing is the norm, and I might be in someone else's sights. So, no, thank you. Is that enough reasons for you?
Yeah.
Slave of Christ.
I think it's purely circular, what you just said. I don't want to kill because I don't want to kill because I don't want to kill.
No, that's not what I said. I don't want to kill because I don't want to be killed. I don't want to kill because I don't want to go to prison. I don't want to kill because I do not want guilt. That's not circular at all.
Okay.
Be honest, slave of Christ, and acknowledge what I said are legitimate reasons for not what slave of Christ. Acknowledge. Say, you're right, Johnny. Those are legitimate reasons for not wanting to kill people that are independent of a belief in God. Say, I acknowledge you're correct, Johnny.
You are correct, Johnny. So
thank you so much.
Damn. Got him to sign on the line that says
you're an atheist, no, slave of Christ.
Okay.
You check the box, baby.
Okay. So do you think that adultery is sin? Or do you think adultery is wrong? Because I have a lot of examples that proves that your worldview is inherently immoral. Just because you want,
you're asking a million things here. First of all, we don't sin and wrong, not the same thing, right? Sin is a made-up thing. Wrongness is also a made-up thing, but I'm a moral anti-realist. Not other atheists might agree with that. Okay, but point is, right? Sin is a Christian concept. I don't believe in Christianity, therefore I don't believe in sin. But I can still think an action is wrong, independent of what Christians think, right? So, like, is cheating on a loved one without their consent? I mean, that's what cheating is, right? Doing something without their consent. Yes, I think that's wrong. So, I don't know how you can say my worldview is immoral because I account for that. I don't know. That's it, right? What else? Is that your best example?
I disagree. I disagree that sin is a Christian concept because even before Christians were here, the concept of sin, like in the Old Testament, existed.
That's true. You're right. It is also a Jewish concept, but it's not a it's not a universally recognized concept.
Sin is a theistic concept. We will grant you that, slave of Christ.
Yeah.
So if that is a theistic concept in your worldview, there is no alternative judgment that happens after we die. So anything that we do in the world, we're not being held accountable.
Oh my God, slave of Christ. How am I not being held accountable? If I commit murder or some other stupid crime that shouldn't be taking place, right? If I commit an act against someone and then I am forced to face the actual consequences of that, like I go to prison and I live in a freaking box for the rest of my life, or I get put to death, how is that not a consequence? An atheist worldview calls for there to be real, not imaginary, wishful consequences. Where a Hitler who asks for forgiveness just before he, pulls the trigger, goes for eternal paradise. We don't have a get out of hell free card. We don't have an eternal paradise card. We have to make right in this world, or that's it.
That's true. Johnny pointed out a good point. It's actually the Christian worldview that avoids consequences because, again, you can literally be Hitler and say, "Oh, actually, I'm going to ask for forgiveness for all this," and not face any consequences for that. I mean, depending on your theology.
Sure.
But you know,
sure.
That's upon the election of God. So
yeah,
how we are saved is by God's election. So even though you like do whatever you want to do, or you've done things that are unlawful to God or to the law of God, it's upon the election of God and not yours.
In other words, if you're one of God's special boys and girls, you get a get out of jail free card, and you don't even get anything to deserve it. Yes, that's literally what it is. God gets to pick and choose who gets to go to heaven, despite how shitty of a person it is. Is that right?
No, because the price has been made.
What price?
Like
what price has been paid?
To the person, right?
What price has been paid by the person who's killed another person and then asked God for forgiveness? What price has been paid?
Christ paid for that specific sin, right?
How?
Really?
How?
What happened? What did they do?
What happened?
Jesus died on a cross, and so suddenly that guy that murdered somebody is okay? Paul the Apostle was a murderer, right? Or he at least accosted others in the murder of Christians, right? So now he's just okay because he just preaches the gospel. Is that how it works?
We all deserve death, right? So we all are worthy of death.
No, we don't all deserve death.
Even if that's true, it sounds like we don't pay the price for the consequences. Somebody else does.
No, Christ already paid the
right. So the murderer doesn't actually pay the price.
Oh gosh, you're right. The murderer doesn't pay the price. They get away with it.
Yes.
Because Jesus done it.
Okay.
Right.
So there's no consequences. You're right, slave of Christ. There are no consequences. You don't have to be morally responsible in Christianity. Wow. I never thought of it that way.
No, I'm not saying that you don't have to be a moral or a good person. What I'm saying is, let's say you go to the court, right? So there's a Johnny P angel, and they're going to try to. This is just an example. So if they say that you have break the law and there's a sufficient evidence that you have done those things, and let's say that the court grants you to have forgiveness, right? And you said, no, I don't receive the forgiveness. I don't receive the forgiveness because I don't love the judge, right? So that is what you guys are doing, where the forgiveness is available for the sins that we commit as human, because human beings are fallen. And
slave of Christ. Your worldview is exceptionally sad to me. You think that people deserve death. I think that...
No, I said all of us deserve death.
Oh, God.
Even animals. Because
that's literally what he just said.
Johnny, here's what you said. Yeah. No, none of us deserve death. Death comes. But that's not how court works, slave of Christ. I don't know why you have this obsession. And I recognize you under a different name. I don't really care what name you call yourself. But you have this obsession with death, punishment, dying, being washed in the blood of sacrificial lambs. The fact is, it makes no sense that Jesus died so that my sins are somehow forgiven. If I slapped you in the face, Dan can't forgive me. You would have to forgive me. Otherwise, it's an empty gesture. It's nonsense. The whole system is bogus. So, anyway.
No.
Last.
It's it. Slave of Christ. That's all we got for the call today. I think we got to move on. We're getting towards the end of the show, so I am going to let you go.